All right, we ready? Good evening. Being 7 p.m., I'll call to order the McHenry County Board regular meeting of November 15th, 2022. And Ms. Schofield will lead us in the pledge this evening. For our invocation tonight, we have Reverend Mary Patrice Went from United Spiritual Center in Woodstock.
Thank you. Let us pray. Divine Creator, source of all possibilities, we invite your light and inspiration into the hearts and minds of all who attend this meeting tonight. We ask your blessings for each and every one, that the life that you give supports and nurtures each and every soul here. We know that the cup that we hold cannot give if it is not filled. So we ask that each person is filled with the love and the grace that you have for them. We thank that each one is volunteering and working in unison with those around them to create a life in McHenry County for all who call it home. May they each hold your divine idea in heart as they collaborate together, knowing that their efforts are fruitful. When they trust in you, when they hold you in the center of all that is. Thank you for the blessings that they provide as they funnel through the inspiration that you give to make this night, these decisions, the best for all who are here. We are so blessed and grateful. And thank you for the time and the safety of each person as they travel here to be a part of a very important moment that determines the future of this community as well as their families. All bring a piece of you. All bring the life that you have inspired in them, and all have the opportunity to be heard. We are so blessed that it is so. Let it be. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend. Okay, we'll move on to roll call. Mr. Cheerio, could you call the roll, please?
Avang. Acosta.
Here.
Althoff. Bates.
Here.
Campbell.
Here.
Collins.
Here.
Doherty.
Here.
Gadamoller.
Here.
Jindrick.
Here.
Young.
Here.
Kearns.
Here.
Meshes.
Here.
Nowak.
Here.
Parrish. Schofield.
Here.
Schwartz.
Present.
Scala.
Present.
Smith.
Here.
Thorson.
Here.
Vijek.
Here.
Von Bergen.
Here.
Wegner.
Here.
Wilbeck.
Here.
Jensen.
Here.
23, Chairman.
Okay, having a quorum, we'll move on to adopting the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. Mr. Thorson, seconded by Mr. Vijek. All in favor say aye. Aye. Against? Motion carries. I'll also entertain a motion to adopt the minutes of the meeting for the Committee of the Whole, October 13th, and the regular meeting of October 18th. Mr. Nowak, seconded by Mr. Doherty. All in favor say aye. Aye. Against? Motion carries. This brings us to my comments tonight. My last before this county board changes significantly when we next meet on December 5th to swear in the new members. With the election now behind us and the board shrinking to 18 with the redistricting, we're saying goodbye to 15 county board members. To put this in an even deeper perspective, they're taking a combined 113 years of experience with them. The 9 of you who are returning in our county administration are going to have a very big freshman class to bring up to speed. On behalf of the people of McHenry County, I want to thank each and every one of you for devoting so much of your time to serving your constituents, to Bob Nowak, Michael Vijik, Tom Wilbeck, John Collins, Carolyn Schofield, Jeff Thorson, Lori Parrish, Tanya Jindrick, Kay Bates, Jeff Schwartz, Stephen Doherty, Carlos Acosta, Dr. Paula Jensen, John Young, and Michelle Avang. I say thank you. I especially want to recognize John Young, who has served on the county board for 26 years. So before we get to the public's business tonight, we have plaques to present to each of you to honor you for your service. So please come on down to accept them so that we can take a group picture together.
You guys are gonna have to squish in a little bit, maybe angle a bit, so this side, maybe angle a bit more. Mr. Vijik, why don't you come on up there? Angle in a little bit. Alrighty, everybody, let's see if I can get back far enough. Alright, everybody say cheese. Cheese. Beautiful. Love it, guys. Great. We have to sit down.
So our Planning and Development Department is holding 4 community visioning workshops to gather community input on the 2050 Comprehensive Plan. 3 in-person sessions will take place from noon to 2 p.m. Wednesday, November 30th here at the County Administration Building, from 6 to 8 p.m. later that evening at Riley Township Hall, and from 6 to 8 p.m. Thursday, December 1st at Cary Village Hall. A 4th event will be held virtually from 6 to 8 p.m. Thursday, December 8th. To learn more about the 2050 Comprehensive Plan under development, you can visit its website at www.hla.fyi/McHenry County. And finally tonight, McHenry County celebrated Veterans Day weekend by participating in Operation Greenlight, which was observed all last week, thanks to the resolution this county board approved last month. Like many county governments across America, we took part by illuminating the front of the county administration building with green lights to honor our veterans, recognize the issues facing them, and to bring attention to the benefits that they earned. Last week, our communications staff worked with our Veterans Assistance Commission to produce a video highlighting the services the VAC provides for our armed forces veterans to help them access those benefits. I encourage you all to check it out on our county government YouTube page. And if you're a veteran who needs assistance, you can learn more about the VAC and its mission to help you by calling 815-334-4229 or by visiting mchenrycountyil.gov/VAC. This concludes my report and brings us to special recognition. Is that right? No, we're going to do member comments, then we'll do special recognition, right? Yes. Yes.
Members' comments is next.
Oh, members' comments, right. Okay. That's all I have for now. We'll move on to proclamations later. Does any members have any comments? Mr. Thorson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's going to be short and sweet. I just wanted to mention that it's been a great pleasure to serve with these colleagues and serve with this administration. But most importantly, it's been a real honor to serve the residents of McHenry County. And it's a wonderful thing to be able to do. And I'm very grateful to have had the opportunity to do that. Thank you very much.
Dr. Jensen?
Thank you. I happen to echo Jeff Thorson's remarks, and it's been a pleasure serving with my colleagues. I think we have worked collaboratively throughout the years, and I wrote some notes down. I think it was more about the we up here instead of the I. And some of those things was like the Randall Road widening, bridges, memory care unit was bipartisan, fixed route, that was very historical to have a fixed route going up and down Randall Road to get people from one place to another. And it was about coming together and seeing that we're more alike than different. And I think that is the thread that brings us together. And I'm going to miss all of you. And I wish the best for the victors, and I'm sad for the people that lost, because they're all very high quality people. And I wish you all much success, and thank you for the opportunity of serving, and I want to thank my constituents for continually voting for me, and I could sit in this seat for 10 years. So thank you, and I want to thank the chairman too for your generosity, for offering me some leadership opportunities here on the county board. So thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you. Ms. Campbell?
So actually what I wanted to do first, and this is a little bit off from what we're talking about, but I came across this today, and I guess today is Recycling Day, November 15th. And the Illinois Recycling Foundation had put out a notice, and according to them, according to the EPA, the recycling rate has been increased from less than 7% in 1960 to the current rate of 32%. An EPA study found that recycling and reuse activities in the United States accounted for 680,000 jobs and $37.8 billion in wages. On America Recycles Day, which is today, the EPA and the Illinois Recycling Foundation recognize the importance and impact of recycling, which has contributed to American prosperity and the protection of our environment. The recycling efforts of communities and businesses throughout the United States have helped with this success and growth. To build on our progress, we encourage every American to contribute by recycling right, not only on American Recycles Day, but all year round. So that was just wanted to put that one out there. And also, being the newest member of the board, I do want to thank all of my colleagues who have served for their leadership, their wisdom and guidance. And I'm only sorry that I hadn't had an opportunity to serve with you longer, having only been here since February, but it's been an honor, and best of luck to everybody. Thank you.
Ms. Campbell? Ms. Wegner?
Thank you. So last Friday was Veterans Day, and I want to say a big thank you to anyone who served in the military in any capacity. You and your loved ones sacrificed so much to keep our country safe. My two grandfathers fought in World War II. My father-in-law was in the Marines, and my husband was in the Air Guard and deployed to Hungary and Turkey during the Gulf War. The most amazing thing is that my great-uncle escaped from the USS Oklahoma when it was bombed in Pearl Harbor. He went on to survive 2 other sinking ships in Pearl Harbor and lived a long life to tell us about his escapades and the friends he unfortunately lost. As the saying on the Korean memorial goes, freedom is not free. So thank you for all who have served. The past 2 years as on the board have been rewarding and filled with wonderful camaraderie, and I want to say thank you for all who have served on the board. Some of the election results were certainly surprising, and I want to let you know that you will be missed. The board discussion won't be the same without your opinions and insight. For those of you who are retiring, I hope you enjoy your free time and make sure you're doing something fun on the nights or the mornings that you would be at a committee or board meeting, something that would make the rest of us jealous while we're sitting here. Tonight is sure to be full of discussion, and in the end, I hope we can make the best decision for the McHenry County residents, the county government, and its employees. Next week is Thanksgiving, so I want to say I'm thankful for each and every board member, staff member, and person in this room who's taken time out of their busy schedule to make their voice heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wagner. Mr. Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to take a few moments to thank some people. First, Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for selecting me to fill this open seat. I appreciate your faith that I'd be a good fit and a productive member of the board. I'd like to recognize Mr. Kearns and Mr. Gottmiller, the chairpersons of the two committees I served on. Both were patient with me as I got up to speed with the committees and how they operated. I enjoyed working with them very much. I definitely want to thank the staff here at the county. Without their daily efforts, nothing would get accomplished here. Mr. Austin and Mr. Hartman, the county is lucky to have you both in your roles. Your patience and professionalism with myself and the board is to be commended. Thank you very much. To my fellow board members, I've enjoyed working with you and getting to know you. I wish you all luck with your future endeavors, and I'm sure whatever they are, you'll do great at those. Finally, I wish to thank the citizens of District 2 for extending me the honor to work on their behalf. I hope to be able to serve them in some capacity in the future. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Mr. Gottmiller.
Yes, just short to say thank you for all of those that I've had the privilege of serving with. I know that many of you have brought your ideas, your background, and as Paula said, I think the things that we did the best were when we did them together. That doesn't mean we will always agree, but I know I've learned a lot from all of you, and I'm better for that opportunity. Thank you all.
Mr. Gottmiller. Ms. Bates.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. This has been an absolutely wonderful board, and I really thank each and every one of you for serving on it, and I just feel that I've been privileged to be a part of all of you, but I expect to see wonderful things happening for each and every one of you, whether you succeeded in your campaign or not. I expect to see good things happen because you are certainly a group of talented, gifted, and dedicated people. So I'm very excited to be able to see that. And I also want to say a couple words regarding the staff. You all are our continuity. Board members come and go, but you keep everything flowing so marvelously and with great efficiency, task, dedication, and I have so appreciated it, and I've seen it among each and every one of you. And a special shout out to Greg Shane. Greg, Greg, I wish for you all the new board members that come that come on board, that they are just going to be gifted with talent and technology. That's my hope for Greg Shea.
Thank you, Ms. Bates. Ms. Schofield.
Thank you, and I'm gonna sound like a broken record here, and Michelle says ditto to all of it too, because you know she won't speak tonight, so. But I'm gonna actually take my time to thank everybody personally. So over the last 10 years, I've had the good fortune to serve with 4 different boards under 4 different chairs, and I greatly appreciate all that I've learned and how I've grown from each one of you. Thank you so much for the honor to serve you as vice chair for the last 2 years. And while we have accomplished many good things in McHenry County over the last 10 years, the majority of credit does not go to us as elected officials. It is the hard work of our county staff, and that is worth repeating over and over again because we are so fortunate to have highly experienced, professional, informative, and patient individuals in our administration, as our department heads, and in our departments. Thank you for all you do on a daily basis to make us look good. It does not go unnoticed. A huge thank you to all the volunteers on the boards, the commissions, and the technical advisory committees, because without your time, effort, and expertise, we would not be as educated in making our decisions. We all serve for various reasons, and I have served McHenry County to make our county a better place. I am grateful there are so many similar public servants on past boards, the present board, and now on the future board. Thank you all for stepping up to serve and to offer your talents. While I may be done on the county board, I know I am not done making a difference and serving the people of McHenry County. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schofield. Mr. Nowak?
Thank you. Well, like everybody, I have to say it's just been a pleasure working with all you board members. It's been just a pleasure, the whole thing. I've had a career in government, and I put 23 years in at the Village of Cary. And, you know, I love government, and that's why I came on to the board. I love McHenry County. I moved here in 1978 after getting out of college, and I've always enjoyed McHenry County. It offers so much, and the people here, and you represent the people, and you are all great people. But on top of all that, you know, everybody has said so many things, I won't repeat it a number of times. And Carolyn kind of hit on a lot of it. But the professionalism of the staff here is just incredible. I have to say, Peter and Scott and Greg, you know, I mean, with the computers, of course, when I first came on, we didn't even have computers, so it's been a time. But all the people I met, and Adam and Kevin being new, and Alicia, and it's just been a great run, and I really appreciate the time I had. So, thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Nowak. Ms. Parrish?
Good?
You're good.
You can hear me now? All right. Well, yes, so many wonderful things have been said, and I apologize for being late tonight. I actually left a strategy board meeting for the counseling center for which I work at to come here. They were gracious enough to dismiss me from that meeting because it was supposed to go, or is still going till 8 o'clock. So probably since March, right? I've been thinking about tonight, sometimes, not every day, but, and thinking that I was going to write down this, you know, I don't know what, but something beautiful and amazing, and I didn't. And so I am, just because life got in the way, time, you know, there's never enough time. I would echo all of the things that my fellow board members have shared. I want to be brief, but I do want to share some reflection. 5 years ago, if you would have told me I'd be here now, I would have said, no way. I am so glad I'm here. I'm so glad that I have been able to work with all of you and all of you these past 4 years. It has been an honor, like it's been mentioned. While discourse and disagreement is unavoidable, we are humans, and we are not always going to get along. We're not always going to agree. But I believe when I ran, my slogan on my sign was putting people first. But it wasn't just a slogan, it was who I am and who I wanted to be here on the board. So I want to thank all of you for allowing me to do that. My focus while yes, it was smaller government, lower taxes, and those things that we talk about at election time, my real focus, or my additional focus, because that was real too, but my additional focus was collaboration, communication, and connection. And I want to thank all of you for all of those things, collaboration, communication, and connection. One of the things that I am most proud of is an opportunity that I think I had, it would have been 2 years ago, where 4 women came together. We were on opposite sides of the table, and we had an opportunity to collaborate, communicate, and connect. And I will cherish that memory and so many more. No matter what I'm doing moving forward, I do want to thank the staff. I know I've thanked you a number of times, and I would name you all, but I don't want to miss anyone. So hopefully I've done my due diligence in thanking you along the way. Chairman, it has been an absolute pleasure. And if I have one regret, is that we've only been able to work together for 2 years. The members of the board here, I'm honored and to have had worked with you, and thank you all. Congratulations to those who sought re-election and were victorious. For those of you who are not remaining here but are moving forward, I'm excited, as was mentioned, to see what happens next for you. I want to thank you all for the opportunities, the leadership opportunities that I've had in recent years. I've mentioned those before, so I won't repeat them. And finally, I will say that I will admit I have looked to my future calendar and when I might have been at PHCS, when I might have been at Finance, when I might have been here or at Thursdays in the Cow, and I have shaded out those areas in my calendar to make sure that I am not booking things that I don't want to be in that time frame. I will think of you fondly, and I'm getting really good at saying, no thank you, not at this time. So with that, again, I cannot share enough. Thank you to everyone for this opportunity, and to all of the people who supported me, the residents and in the communities. Thank you very much. Chairman, I yield.
Thank you, Ms. Parrish. Mr. Vijik.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am proud to be an American, because in America we have the right to vote, and in many countries you don't. And the people of this county voted for a number of people who are going to stay on the board and for a number of people who are going to join this board. And so democracy won, and it will continue to win, because when you get on the board, and some of you who are in uniform may choose to be on the board, you may sit here and then wonder what your role will be, and your role will be to represent the people. And on this board, whether we agreed or disagreed, we still voted, and we accepted the vote of the majority. And so democracy wins when everyone participates. And yes, there are a number of people in the audience that helped me a great deal through this process. There's a gentleman in the back row who's wearing a uniform of the Sheriff's Department. I am proud to see him here as he represents all of the Sheriff's Department. I am proud to see Dr. Rain. I am proud to see a number of people here. Yes, if it wasn't for Peter and Scott and Alicia, I'd be floundering every day, and Kevin, who's very kind to me to let me go into his office and try to figure out something on this financial page. I thank the chairs of the committees that I served, but I also want to thank my spouse, Beth, and all the spouses and partners that shared their time so that we could come and serve. Without them, I would not be successful, and I wish all of you the best in the future. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Vijik. Mr. Young.
Yes, I didn't know it was that many years, and it's been a real honor and privilege to serve with this board and with Peter and Scott, Alicia, Kevin, and especially Cheryl, because as chairman of Human Resources, most of the time it just wasn't for her. I don't know if we'd gotten through those meetings. And I'd just like to say thank you to everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Thank you all. Seeing no further comments, we'll move on to special recognition. I'll entertain a motion to approve the proclamation acknowledging and supporting agriculture and within McHenry County. Ms. Avang, seconded by Ms. Schofield, and Ms. Von Bergen will read the proclamation.
Thank you. Proclamation acknowledging and supporting agriculture within McHenry County. Whereas Illinois is home to more than 71,000 farms, 96% of which are family-owned and a third of which include livestock. And whereas McHenry County accounts for 881 of those farms, and whereas agriculture supports 5,395 jobs, which accounts for an estimated 4% of total jobs in the county. And whereas agriculture and related industries generate total sales or output estimated at $1,299.4 million, and whereas farm property provides 3.4% of taxable value, which provides services to residents, and whereas Illinois farmers support the food security of our citizens, the international pandemic displayed the importance of American food systems, processing, and supply chain weaknesses. And whereas new livestock development accounts for additional jobs, creating additional economic growth within the county, and whereas farmers are dedicated to caring for their animals in ways that also benefit the land, using tools and technology to better manage soil nutrients, water runoff, and air quality on the farm. Farmers are using fewer natural resources and reducing their carbon footprint while producing more food. And whereas farmland is a finite resource that is vital to agriculture, food production, and the economic well-being of our county, and whereas farmers in Illinois face multiple layers of regulation involving state and federal agencies, providing a comprehensive, robust regulatory program for all farms, including those raising livestock, and whereas data and information from state regulatory agencies demonstrate environmental issues from agriculture are an extremely rare occurrence, and whereas the county recognizes the value agriculture contributes to our county and the rural way of life is the backbone of our country. Efforts should be made to accommodate the future success of the rural community. Be it further proclaimed by the County Board of McHenry County, Illinois, to acknowledge and support agriculture within our county. The jobs created, taxes generated, technologies embraced, and environmental practices implemented by farmers make agriculture a valuable industry within our county. And now, therefore, it be proclaimed, the County of McHenry elected board and county staff will work to support and promote the development of agriculture for the benefit of our county as well as its residents. Dated at Woodstock, Illinois, this 15th day of November, AD 2022.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Against? Motion carries. Next, I'll entertain a motion to approve the proclamation honoring Jay, Shane, and Joseph Wolf, and Brian and Hillary Busse for heroism. Mr. Smith, seconded by Mr. Scala. Before I have Mr. Smith read the proclamation, I'd just like to say that the dedication and bravery of our veterans goes beyond a mere week of recognizing them. Tonight, we're going to recognize two McHenry County veterans and their families for selflessly leaping into action to help two people injured in a horrible crash 2 weeks ago. On Sunday, October 30th, Army veterans Jay Wolf and Brian Busse drew on their military training and the instinct to run towards danger to help. When they came across the accident and a young woman was trapped in a burning car, there were other good Samaritans who helped, but their actions that morning stand out. So Mr. Wolf and his sons who assisted in the rescue are here tonight. Unfortunately, Mr. Busse and his wife couldn't join us, but tonight Mr. Smith will read the proclamation.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity to read the proclamation into the records. This proclamation honoring Jay, Shane, and Joseph Wolf and Brian and Hillary Busse for heroism. Whereas on the morning of Sunday, October 30th, 2022, several good Samaritans came across a two-car accident on Route 14 in unincorporated Harvard. And whereas one of the cars had flipped on its side and caught fire, and whereas without any thought for his personal safety, Harvard resident Jay Wolf at great personal risk, pulled the driver out before the fire engulfed her car. And whereas J. Wolf's sons, Shane and Joseph, both of them Boy Scouts, assisted in the rescue. And whereas Brian Busse, a McHenry County Division of Transportation employee, helped carry the young woman to safety and consoled her until medical help arrived, while his wife Hillary consoled the driver of the other car. And whereas the quick thinking and heroism displayed that day saved lives that otherwise could have been lost. And whereas the actions of Brian Busse bring great credit upon the McHenry County Division of Transportation, and the actions of Shane and Joseph Wolf bring great credit upon the Boy Scouts of America. Now, therefore, it be proclaimed by this County Board of McHenry County, Illinois, that we do hereby honor Jay, Shane, and Joseph Wolf, and Brian and Hillary Busse for their bravery and selflessness. And be it further proclaimed that the county clerk is hereby authorized to distribute a certified copy of this proclamation to the Wolf and Busse families and the McHenry County Division of Transportation, and that it be spread upon the records of the McHenry County Board. Dated at Woodstock, Illinois, this 15th day of November, AD 2022. And Chairman, I know, as you said, the Wolf family is in the audience. Would you invite them up for a photograph?
Absolutely.
Okay, and at some point, could we recognize that their Boy Scout troop is here too, I believe?
Yes, sir. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Against? Motion carries. Congratulations.
So the chairman can hand it. He's the big guy here.
All right, everybody. Say cheese. Thank you so much.
Great. Will you get back to your podium maybe? Sure. Okay. Would that be okay? I mean, that's a place your Boy Scout troop. Okay, thanks.
What's the troop number? 170, 171. Thank you, Troop 171, for showing up tonight and being recognized along with your hero members. Thank you. Okay, on to item number 10. Do any members have an item they'd like removed from the zoning consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the zoning consent agenda. Mr. Smith, seconded by Ms. Wegner. Clerk, could you open the voting, please?
Excuse me, Chairman.
Yep. Ms. Jindrak.
Do your vote.
Okay, just verbal.
Yeah. Little network lag tonight. Okay, voting is open. Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish?
Ms. Jindrak?
Yes.
They're coming.
Yes?
Yeah. Got everybody's. Yeah. There we go.
Okay, motion carries. Move on to public comment. Carl Kaminsky.
Good evening. My name's Carl Kaminsky from Johnsburg. I just wanted to take a moment to thank you, the members of the county board, on the last meeting of the current membership. The board members that come to this board are from one side or the other, but when they walk through that door, it's apparent that you put your heart and soul in doing the best you can for the citizens of McHenry. The time and dedication that you all give to this county are well noted throughout this state by your work product that benefits all the citizens of this county. As you leave here tonight, take pride in your leaving McHenry County better than when you came in to the board. Be proud of all the good work that you have done. There's so many of you that I've seen over the years, few stand out. Ms. Schofield, you were good in calling balls and strikes when it came to the board rules. Mr. Thorson, you always showed all sides of the issue and brought them to a thoughtful debate. Mr. Kearns, you're great in articulating the bottom line, what it would be at the end of the day. Mr. Schwartz, you always do your due diligence on many topics and have solid facts to back them up. Mr. Vichek, you showed that you did your homework and came to the board prepared and presented your side of the issue. Ms. Bates, thank you for representing my district along with Senator Althoff and how you helped make this county better. From when we first met back when you first ran for the county board, you've done your part to make it better. Ms. Yeltsin, I hope you'll come back and visit us from time to time. Over the years, I've enjoyed your stories from when you've been abroad and helping the citizens there to have a better life. From just an average citizen from Johnsburg, thank you for leaving McHenry County, the shining county on the hill, for the rest of the state to take notice in how to run the people's government. Thank you.
Thank you. I did neglect to mention that public comments are limited to 3 minutes, at which point the red light would come on and I would ask you to summarize your comments. Mr. Kenneth Lind? Lindy? I apologize.
3 minutes? Oh my God, I gotta talk fast. Good evening. My name is Kenneth Lindy. I reside in McHenry Township and have lived here for the past 35 years. I'm here tonight to discuss the closing of the Northwestern Medical Healthcare Facility in Crystal Lake, where I've been a member for the past 10 years and come not only on my own behalf, but those constituents who are too disabled or elderly to make it on their own. At nearly 76 years old, I'm part of the fastest growing demographic in McHenry County, increasing by 55.9% from 2010 to 2021, and now representing 1 in 6 of all the eligible voters in this county. Within this group, our primary concerns are economics, health, and safety, where current federal guidelines recommend regular physical activity and note that it is one of the most important things a person can do to prevent or delay many of the problems associated with advancing age. Beyond physical activities, federal studies also indicate that declines in emotional health are accentuated by the loss of existing social networks, such as those many of us have established at the facility, where loneliness is associated with problematic changes in the cardiovascular, hormonal, and immune systems, resulting in chronic inflammatory state that damages the heart, reduces one's capacity to resist infection, and promotes the loss of bone and muscle density. With the aging population representing a key factor in the overall socioeconomic well-being of McHenry County, it's paramount that healthcare facilities are available that allow elderly and disabled citizens to sustain their physical and mental well-being. While there are numerous health clubs, no other facility beyond that in Crystal Lake is attuned to the special needs of the elderly and disabled. Sadly, per the letter dated October 27, 2022, the Northwestern Medicine Crystal Lake Health and Fitness Center will close effective December 30th, while offering the opportunity to retain membership at the Northwestern Huntley facility. Whereas the distance between the two facilities is approximately 8 miles, one would believe that the inconvenience wouldn't be that great until they realize the differences in facilities are quite profound. The Crystal Lake facility is geared for the elderly and disabled and incorporates 2 therapy and 1 therapeutic hot tub, 1 8-lane lap pool, and 1 walk-in leisure pool, with motorized lifts in all. In addition, there are low-stress racquetball and basketball courts and a main floor walking track. Unfortunately, Huntley, other than the lap pool and the basketball court, have none of these facilities whatsoever. The decision to close the Crystal Lake facility appears to be a business assessment based on declining membership and increasing costs of operation. This dynamic appears to be exacerbated by the fact that in the years Northwestern Medicine has owned the property, virtually nothing has been done to maintain or improve the facility.
If you could summarize your comments, please.
This has resulted in faulty exercise equipment, failure to open either the outdoor pool or child care center for several years, and allowing the indoor leisure pool to be unheated and virtually intolerable for nearly 4 months this year, all of which have exacerbated the decline. Why am I here? We are formally requesting initiation of dialogue with Northwestern Medical to determine whether the facility could remain open as a public venue with no additional financial burden to Northwestern Medical, the City of Crystal Lake, or McHenry County taxpayers. We believe this could be accomplished by reducing fixed and variable costs, reallocating existing space, and increasing the functions within the structure to include local and county activities currently unavailable to all. In conclusion, someday, if you are lucky, all of you will be considered elderly. When that day comes, I hope that the results of your compassion tonight will mean a better health for you and for all the members of our community. But if you don't act and you don't get a hold of Northwestern Medical and find out what we can do to save this center, the elderly and the disabled have no place to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lindy. David Gutkowski. I get all my paper off the sheet there.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Dave Gutowski here. I'm the president of Internet Freedom for McHenry County. So, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to advocate for better internet in McHenry County. And so it is now month 3 of giving testimonials from our broadband survey that we've been collecting data over for the last 3 months. And so we're now on number 9. Leona H., a business owner in Marengo, Illinois, unincorporated Coral Township, said, "We are extremely underserved and cannot be competitive with other businesses. We require fast upload speeds to send our projects to our clients. Also, if we got fiber, I would switch my telephone service in a heartbeat. Cell phone quality is not good enough to conduct business. In general, fast internet should be considered a utility as pretty much everyone needs it now. Also, as a consumer, I cannot view video well due to the nature of satellite internet." Next one is David R. of Spring Grove, Illinois, Incorporated, said, I have over the years spent too much time contacting Mediacom about problems. My time is money. Example, the service was down last week for the entire daylight hours. I saw no attempt for them to reimburse me by Mediacom for less service, income, or inconvenience. Nancy S. of Cary, Illinois, Incorporated. ATT service in Cary is super slow and times out in downloads. Next, Christy D. of Woodstock, Illinois, unincorporated Door Township said, "Only 2 options at my property, HughesNet or ATT. HughesNet was too slow and only intermittent service, plus very expensive. ATT is better, but still slow since it runs through our phone line, also pretty expensive for slow speed." And that concludes the the testimonials. But I just want to say, board members, I thank you for your service. You sacrifice time, money, and, you know, family time, maybe even family time. So once again, I echo what Michael Vijik said about spouses and everything else. You know, they are very helpful in all that aspect to make all this possible and everything else. So I have enjoyed working with some of you. Don't be a stranger, because I'm going to be here for a very long time, Peter. So until you retire, of course. What, you got like 8 more years? So, but however, with that being said, you know, like you said, you guys represent, and you represent the people. So hopefully, Lord, you know, we'll do better with this internet thing. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Michael Rain.
Good evening, everybody. I'm here as Dr. Michael Rain as the coroner today. So, first thing I wanted to do, I was sorry I couldn't be here on Thursday. I was deathly ill. I hope that the presentation, though, that you guys saw was informative, understanding of what really does happen, because there's a lot of misinformation out there that people don't understand and things in that nature. And also to recognize the people that, I guess, the people that work for me are very dedicated. And when Gift of Hope came to us with that, it came to me with a new initiative of trying to get better at what we do. And my staff took that on as a challenge. And obviously, I think you saw the numbers. And the dedication that they put into this. So, again, I hope it was very informative. Hopefully, maybe next year with the new board and things of that nature, we can do it again, and things of that nature. The other thing I also want to say is it's been a pleasure working with the people since I've been the coroner, but also with many of you when I was on the county board as well. It's been an honor and a pleasure working with everybody, and hopefully we will see you down the road at some point, and I appreciate talking tonight. Thank you.
Next, under new and unfinished business, I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution supporting the City of McHenry's request for a 12-year extension to their tax increment financing district. Ms. Altoff, seconded by Mr. Acosta. Any discussion? Seeing none. Clerk, could you open the voting, please?
It's open.
Voting's open. Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish?
They're coming in a little slower.
Okay, motion carries. Next, under appointments, I'll entertain a motion to approve the appointments under item 14A. Mr. Smith, seconded by Ms. Parrish. Any discussion? Seeing none. Clerk, could you open the voting, please? Voting is open.
It's a little slow tonight.
Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Figured I'd say it slow.
Right.
motion carries. On item number 15, do any committee chairs or liaisons have reports for us tonight? Mr. Smith.
Yeah, no report, Chairman. I just want to thank, as Chairman of PE&D, I had a great committee to work with, and several members will not be coming back. And I just wanted to thank them for all their input, patience. Just a great committee to work with and to be chairman of. And I wish they would be coming back and I could keep the same committee for another 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Ms. Meshes?
Thank you. I have been the liaison to University of Illinois Extension, and so pardon me, this is my first report from there, but I wanted to make note that I had attended their meeting on October 25th at the Lake County office in Grace Lake, and they've done a reorganization, and they are making subcommittees, and they are working hard to make sure that they're introducing programming and partnering with a focus on getting healthy food to all communities, specifically communities that are underprivileged, and to get programming into the schools to help foster children's understanding both of healthy living, but also of their own interests. They are very proud right now of their STEM programming. Their next meeting will be a Zoom meeting on January 30th, and they welcome other members of the board to come to that meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Meshes. Ms. Parrish?
Thank you, Chairman. Oh, do I have to push? You think I should know this? I don't know why I'm blanking on that tonight. Overcome with emotions tonight. So I did want to take a moment to thank the Board of Health. It has been a pleasure serving as the liaison to the Board of Health and working with the Department of Health. We had a Finance Committee meeting last night as well as a Personnel Committee meeting, and I want to commend the staff, the Department of Health staff, for coming prepared, being open to all the questions and the conversation that was had with the board, and I'm excited to see what comes next and out of those conversations. Both of those meetings, I believe, were recorded audio at least, and so if anybody's interested, again, it was the Finance Committee. Actually, the Personnel Committee was mostly executive session. The other thing I wanted to do was take a moment, because I didn't recognize him or thank him before, but I do want to thank Member Smith for his leadership with CDHG, and I know that I've mentioned before that it was an absolute pleasure to work with Adam and his staff, Hans and Faith and Brandon and Kyle. No, who am I missing? Eric, okay. There's been some changes there. There's been a few changes there. So, but thank you to all the staff. Thank you to Vice Chair Smith and all the members of CDHG. I also want to thank again my committee members the committee members in PHCS. Again, it was a pleasure working with all of you and all of the different departments and entities that come before PHCS. It's been a pleasure working with all of you, and I will miss many things, and in particular having the opportunity to lead those committees and work with those people closely. I've greatly appreciated it, so thank you very much. I yield.
Thank you, Ms. Parrish. Ms. Wagner?
Thank you. So as liaison to the Conservation District, wanted to let you know a few things. The Winter Landscapes magazine is out, so if you ever want to find out trails or classes or information, that's the best place to look. It's online, and some of us get it in the mailbox. Right now, there are nominations for Conservation Champion Awards open till the end of the year. So Conservation Champion Award and Conservation Legacy Award. There are also hike and ski on solar lit trails, and those are all open until 9 p.m. And for those of you who don't like Black Friday, you can give back to conservation, and it's a Green Friday. You can get outside and help. Just bring work gloves and check online for the different places to do that. The Conservation District received a grant with the Illinois Clean Energy Community Foundation for $234,000 for the Dutch Creek Headwaters Wetlands and Remnant Oaks addition to the Pioneer Fen Conservation Area. Hackmatack National Wildlife celebrates 10th anniversary. And then something that's new, the Conservation District is not going to have as many trash cans as they used to have. So I know this is an odd thing, and people are used to bringing in their drinks and throwing it away. They're not going to have that anymore. They're having something called pack in and pack out. And actually, the less garbage cans you have in an area, the less refuge and litter there is. So just remember, if you're going to go camping or hiking, you got to carry your garbage back out. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wagner. Seeing no further reports, we'll move on to item number 16.
I had one.
Oh,
Sorry.
Behind Tanya.
Yeah.
Ms.
Thanks.
Schofield.
As the CMAP representative, I just wanted to let everyone know that the 2023 Regional Excellence Awards are accepting nominations. It's a program that offers a unique opportunity for municipal leaders, nonprofits, transportation agencies, and advocates to have their exceptional work recognized by peers from across northeastern Illinois. And last year, Brian Sager received the Visionary Award, and it was really nice to have McHenry County and someone from McHenry County honored in that for that award. So I would encourage anyone that knows the categories that there are: Equity with Impact Award, Partners for Progress, Regional Resilience, and the Visionary Leader Award, which is the one that Mayor Sager had received last year. So I would encourage anyone to go to the CMAP website if they know of somebody worthy of a nomination, and good luck.
Thank you, Ms. Schofield. Move on to the routine consent agenda. Do any members have an item they'd like removed from the routine consent agenda? I do have a note here to remove 16B23 so that Ms. Wegner and Dr. Jensen can abstain, and 16B215, 16B216 for Mr. Wilbeck. Any further items to be removed? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the routine consent agenda, less item 16B23, 16B215, and 16B216. Mr. Gottemoller, seconded by Mr. Nowak. Clerk, could you open the voting, please?
It's loading. It's open.
Voting is open. It's coming.
It's coming. Slow boat.
Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish?
We have all votes. Wait for the results. Greg broke the crank off of it.
Lost the hamster.
Yeah. Here it comes. There we go.
Okay, it's approved. Next, I'll entertain a motion to approve item 16B23. Mr. Collins, seconded by Mr. Smith. Any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, could you open the voting, please?
It's loading.
Take the next two separately, then they combine.
Yeah, yeah. Should be open.
Voting is open. Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Dr. Jensen?
Yes, I should have abstained from the appointments on the Senior Services Grant Commission and the Mental Health Board. And I voted, and I would like the record be reflective that I should have been an abstention.
Can we change those?
There we go.
Got it?
See what I'm saying? Because I was one of the applicants for the Mental Health Board as well as the Senior Services Grant Commission.
Just
So
change that to
will you
reflect it.
change it? Thank you.
There's the result.
Okay, motion carries. Next item, I'll entertain a motion to approve item 16B to 15. They need to take them one at a time with the new software. Mr. Scala, you're making that motion? Mr. Doherty seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none. Clerk, could you open the voting?
It's loading. And it's open.
Voting is open. Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish?
All votes are cast. And now we're waiting on the result. There you go.
Motion carries. Next, I'll entertain a motion to approve item 16B to 16. Ms. Campbell, seconded by Mr. Scala. Any discussion? Seeing none, could you open the voting, please?
Waiting for it to load. It's loaded.
Voting is open. Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish?
Votes are cast, waiting on the result. There's the result.
Motion carries. Next, we'll move on to ordinances for action. We have 6 items tonight. I'll entertain a motion to approve item 1761, the ordinance adopting NEC
B1?
17B1, I'm sorry. Can't read my own writing. It's an ordinance adopting NEC 2020, IFC 2021, IMC 2021, IFGC 2021, IPSC 2021, and IEBC 2021 with local amendments and repealing ordinance 0201-804-10-014. Mr. Nowak, seconded by Mr. Gottemaler. Any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, could you open the voting, please?
It's loading. Okay, it's open. Voting's open.
Voting is open. Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish?
All the votes are cast. There's the result.
Motion carries. Next, I'll entertain a motion to approve item 17B2, ordinance adopting the 2021 International Building Code with local amendments and repealing ordinance O201609-10-031. Mr. Nowak, seconded by Mr. Smith. Any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, could you open the voting, please? Voting is open. Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Motion carries. Next, I'll entertain a motion to approve item 17B3, which is an ordinance adopting the 2021 International Residential Code with local amendments and repealing ordinance O201610-10-036. Mr. Smith, seconded by Mr. Gottemaler. Any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, could you open the voting, please? Voting is open. Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Motion carries. Next, I'll entertain a motion to approve item 17B4, which is an ordinance amending Articles 1 through 6 of the Public Health Ordinance. Ms. Parrish makes the motion, seconded by Ms. Wegner. Any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, could you open the voting, please? Voting is open. Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Motion carries. Next, I'll entertain a motion to approve item 17B5, the ordinance providing for the levy of taxes for McHenry County, Illinois for the fiscal year December 1 AD 2022 through November 30 AD 2023. Mr. Scala?
Yeah, I would like to put B5 and B6 together as we've discussed in the past. So
Are you making that motion to combine them?
well, I have to read all this, so if you don't mind, if I could read all this to make the motion, because I have to do all the amendments and everything.
Motion to combine?
Well, no, I'm just, I need to read all the amendments that are here.
Okay,
So-
we're gonna vote separately on these, though.
No, we vote them as one motion.
I object. I would say that we should take them separately. I mean, can you read the one, and then when we get to the next one, read the next one?
We can. I thought we had this discussion already, and we determined that that was where we ran into a problem last year.
If you're making a motion to combine, I'll entertain that, and we can get a second and have discussion on it and a vote. Ms. Wagner, seconds. Any discussion on combining the two? Okay, Dr. Jensen?
Yes, I'm against combining it. I think we need to have a full discussion about the budget and the levy. And I think they're two separate issues, and I will be voting no on that recommendation. Thank you.
Mr. Kearns?
I would like to keep them separate because I propose an amendment to each of them. And we could, if we choose to do them both, I will amend both of them.
Mr. Thorson?
My understanding was that the reason why we wanted to, the real thing we were trying to do was not so much combine them as much as approve the levy amount before we approve the budget, so we don't run into the problem of approving a budget before we approve a levy. That's pretty straightforward, that there's no reason for us to be combining those two. And all I can think of is the reason you want to combine those two to make it much more complicated to take them apart again during the discussion. So I'm obviously against it.
Mr. Schwartz?
We should not combine them. We need to discuss them separately. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Ms. Schofield?
I do support actually discussing them together so we don't end up in the situation we were in last year where we have a budget and no way to pay for it, because I think that they're somewhat one and the same. If we are going to have a budget, we have to know how to pay for it. And if we're reducing it to a certain amount, I think that we should know that we're going to be able to cover the services for the people of the county. So I do support actually combining them.
Mr. Collins?
I too support combining them. I think that any motions that can be made to the combined ones, as well as it could be made to the separate ones. So combining them to have a full discussion makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah, I agree with what Mr. Collins said. One is dependent on the other. I see no reason why we can't debate them together. Thank you.
Ms. Altoff?
It doesn't.
I just want to point out to the group that in all of my, vast years of experience, here's my little story that I get to share. This is what we in Springfield called the, shell under the cup game. People would vote for the budget, spend all that money, and then they'd never vote for the revenue side. So they got to go home and say, we did all these good things, but they never then anteed up the money. I would support combining them and having a discussion together. I think that makes sense.
Mr. Scala? Are your lights still on?
Sorry.
Mr. Kearns?
I'll concede that I'm okay with that discussion together because we'll amend both of them at the same time. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I agree, we shouldn't have what we had last year.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Against? Nay. I think the ayes have it, so we'll combine them and have the discussion. Mr. Scala?
Okay, so I'll read the motion then. I make a motion to adopt an ordinance providing for the levy of taxes for McHenry County, Illinois for the fiscal year December 1st, 2022 through December 30th, 2023, that has been on 30-day review and is provided for in the county board packet. And I move to adopt the fiscal year 2022-2023 annual appropriations ordinance that has a schedule of expenditures totaling $263,822,712 and a schedule of revenues totaling $263,822,712, which includes the following recommended amendments as provided to you this evening to the preliminary budget that was filed on October 8th, 2022. And I was asked by the state's attorney's office that if anyone would like the actual ordinance and the amendments to be read in their totality, that I would be willing to do that if anyone wants that besides what is already on the record. So does anyone want me to read all of that? With
Parrish has a question?
No. So with that, then I won't read it into the record, but the record will reflect what was already there.
Okay. Mr. Kearns, is any just seconded?
You have a second now?
Mr. Gottemoller, seconds?
No, we're not. We're gonna amend both at the same time.
So, this is what we've had a lot of discussion on. I know Mr. Kearns, would like to make an amendment. I would respectfully ask to have a vote, yes or no, on what was motioned and seconded, and if it fails, then I would, then Mr. Kearns can make whatever motion that he would like to amend, and then we can have a discussion on that. I don't know if it's gonna pass or fail, but, there's been a lot of hard work put on into this, by staff, and the board. And I guess I would just ask respectfully to just have an up or down vote on what has been on review.
Mr. Kearns?
Well, respectfully, I disagree. I don't think you can do that. And you have to have an opportunity to answer questions and discuss this before we vote on it up or down. So without further ado, then, I would propose amendment that I handed out to everyone, and it's in the red, or we had handed out. It's in the red, or it's written in the red on the top as amended. There's 3 pages to that. The first one is the ordinance. The second one is the levy itself, or the levy, and then the other one is the budget. So the first one's actually the levy, then the budget. So if you read those, the point of this amendment is not to make any cuts to the budget. And is there a question?
Yeah, we do have a typo in what's presented on, you're speaking to the intent very clearly, but we do have a typo that we need to amend in the red text.
Is that what I was talking about before? Okay.
Yeah, so on the first page with the levy, under section 2, right now it will read that, so section 2, I'll say that 72,576,406. That number should be 70,591,406. And then the third line, where it says, therefore, 39,272,923 for general county purposes, that number should read 37,287,923. So this would be kind of to your point, Mr. Kearns, or to the amendment that you're referring to.
Yes.
So first numbers should be 70,591,406. So that represents last year's levy plus 500,000 in new growth. I'm making copies of that as well, so we can distribute those.
Okay, so, and I appreciate that. That's what I was asking at the beginning of the meeting a little bit on those numbers. So I appreciate that correction.
I'm sorry, Jim. That would apply to section 3 as well, right?
Correct.
Same changes? Okay.
Correct.
Yes. So the point of our amendment is in our, before we amend it, we have a CPI of the 900 and.
Right, Jim, if you're making a motion, can we get a second so we can kind of explain this and have the discussion, then we'll let you proceed.
Okay.
Dr. Jensen makes the second.
Now you want to go on to discussion?
Please.
Okay. So my point is without cutting into all of the departments, if we were to fail this budget and this levy, we don't want to cut into anything. So we had to turn over and look at different options, and the one option was in the animal control building, we had a proposed construction project. And in that, there was $840,000 that was out of our general fund. And instead of doing that option, we could do it with the ARPA funds. And by using those ARPA funds, we don't have to make any cuts, and we don't have to do the CPI. Also in this is, so it actually ends up at 790,000 instead of the 840, because we're also gonna use 200,000 from the clerk's budget of, proposed budget of, for postage. So that totals our number and allows us not to raise taxes on people right now and still not make any cuts to the sheriff, to the state's attorney, all their proposals that they're looking for. It allows us, in the time of turbulence, I would say, in our economy and inflation, to allows us to not put any more additional burden this year on the individual taxpayers throughout the county. And I don't care if someone says it's only $14 and a $7,000 bill. Combine that with our school districts and all of our other taxing bodies who are asking some for the maximum, some for over the maximum CPI. And it allows us to actually, I feel, be more responsible. And yet we're recognizing the work that our staff and departments have all put in. And I can appreciate Pete and Kevin and Mr. Scala and their committee and all of the staff for all the work they've done to get us to the point of, before we amend this, to get it as low as we did. But I feel this one step further allows us not to actually put any tax onto the rest of the residents of the county. So there's where I make my amendments, and I would appreciate that.
Mr. Kearns, Ms. Wegner?
Thank you. So, I was aware of this 840,000 from mental health. I have a couple questions because I want to be clear where this is going to be taken from. Mr. Kearns said it was going to be taken from ARPA funds. So, Pete or Kevin, either one, is this going to be taken from ARPA funds that are not designated already? Is it going to be taken from the 7.5 million that's already designated to the health department? Or is it going to be taken from the grant side that we have, that we're asking for organizations to apply for grants?
We don't need to make that decision this evening. The decision needs to be made that it's going to come from the advanced McHenry County dollars. I want to, I don't know if this is a correction or just a kind of restatement, but Jim, you said that we had the animal control money budgeted in the general fund. That's not accurate. We had targeted the American Rescue Plan dollars, the advanced McHenry County dollars for the animal control facility. If we rerouted $840,000, to the operating budget, we'd have to rethink the priorities or find another way to fund the animal control component. Right now, that's within the 7.5 million that is on the county side of that, $30 million ledge, 30 on one side, 30 on the other. So, but we don't need to make that decision. I had that conversation with Melissa, with Kevin. We could effectively let the next board decide if they want to use dollars on the community grant side or do stick on the county half of the ledger.
Okay, so the approximately 30 million that we had for the county side, is that all designated or paid out?
It's not paid out, but it is designated.
Okay, so basically,
The caveat there is that 7.5 million is a loose designation. And as Melissa spoke with the Health Department Finance Committee last night, and she shared with us, they have more than $7.5 million worth of ideas. But they are ideas at this point. And each one of those ideas that crosses that $30,000 threshold is gonna have to meet the rigor of review by the Board of Health and then ultimately the county board.
correct. All right, so I'm looking at the spreadsheet, and listed on the spreadsheet, and this I don't know if it encompasses all of them, is $8.3 million worth of changes, additions, things that need to be fixed, or ideas that public health would like to do. And we had a consultant come out and pretty much say what was the best way for our public health department. They should all be in one building, and really public health, for the good it does, many of its items are funded by grants. So I am having a hard time possibly taking $840,000 out of money that we have designated to the public health for $7.5 million. If we're gonna have to figure out how to come up with it in future years, kicking the can down the road, having it decided by another board, kicking the can down the road. I'm okay with taking CPI. Like Mr. Kern said, it's not much. We have seen the projections that if we don't take it, what's going to happen in future years. You think about what's going on right now with public health. We're having a mental health crisis all over the country. We have increasing public health costs and a lot of different issues that we can't, that we're going to need in public health. And I'm gonna borrow a phrase that some people say, but I don't want to defund the public health department. So I will be a no on the amendment, and I hope most people will be too. Thank you.
Mr. Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I just want some clarification, and I understood most of what Ms. Wagner was talking about. So we're talking about decreasing the public health budget by $790,000. Is that correct?
No, we've not been that definitive. We have a $7.5 million allocation that of the $30 million we're intending to spend on the county side, we have $7.5 million set aside for the health department. So we're proposing to effectively reduce that $7.5 million to what, about $6.7 million.
So those are the items, you talked about. Some of those are like the new incubator for the lab, equipment required for lab certification, smartphones for the on-call staff. Those are all the things that are part of that list that potentially could be cut.
If the allocation there is reduced, we would probably charge the Board of Health and Melissa and her team to figure out how best to reprioritize those asks. The number that has kind of drawn our attention is the $840,000 that was set aside for facilities improvements down in Crystal Lake.
Okay, and then to be clear, we're thinking about the decision you said didn't have to be made now, but that money would come from the money we've allocated for Advanced McHenry County, those ARPA funds. So that's a program that we've promoted tremendously throughout the county, and we've committed to moving those monies back into the community to help the community recover from the pandemic. And now we're gonna lessen that. We've already taken 1.5 million.
We haven't made a decision on, we have
I understand.
two ledgers, 30 million for the community, 30 million from the county. If we use that $7.5 million, it's coming from the 30 million for the county. Those are county projects.
So there's county projects we won't be able to do if we do this?
Arguably.
Okay, so.
Specific, public health projects specific.
Yeah, exactly. So we're taking public health, and I don't want to overcomplicate this, but in my simple way of looking at it, we've come through a pandemic. We've had a public health department that has done tremendous work over the last 2.5 years at great cost to them, not from a financial cost, but from just a people cost. And we're looking to them to now sacrifice money because we're unwilling to do the CPI. I guess to me, that's the bottom line of this proposal. Is that a fair, accurate, or statement?
It's a summary of it.
Oh, it's my summary of it. Okay.
Your summary of it,
Yeah. Based on the work that public health has done, and we stood here, we voted to give them bonuses for the work they had to do during the pandemic. We recognized them for the work they had to do in the pandemic, and there'll be another pandemic down the road. I mean, it's gonna happen, and I can't see doing this. I can't support this. I'll be a no on this. Thank you.
Ms. Jindrak.
Thank you. I had a clarification question on the decreased postage expenses. Did we estimate the postage? I'm not sure where we're getting the expenses. Did the 200 need to cover it, or is that additional funds that we're just?
So we were able, so when we first cast the budget, we were basing it on some amount of estimation, not having mailed out to 250,000 people before, and then using prior mailing experience and some other factors to try to forecast what that would be. When it actually came to our doing the mailing in this year, we were able to get that done a lot less expensively than we had anticipated.
Okay.
So that's where it's not just postage, it's postage and printing.
Okay. So this 200,000 is that's not going to be removed from anything. That we're just simply our
That's
overestimate now comes back at less than 200. So that's not impacting any other items on the budget, including public health or any of the community grants.
It's just coming out of my budget.
Okay. Thank you.
If those dollars were removed, the county clerk's office is going to rely on the purchasing department where all the other postage flows through, and we would account for there. If were they to stay, it would produce less burden on the rest of the postage budget.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes, I just wanted to kind of go off what John Collins was saying. The problem I have with putting the decision off as to what you're going to not fund by agreeing to take this and move it and fund the $840,000 through ARPA funds is we're not taking responsibility for what we want to do going forward. And what I don't want to see happen is we did promise $30 million to the community for for funding for programs that they would apply for. We still have money out there. I have a community that has applied for an infrastructure grant. I don't want to turn around and tell them they're not going to get their grant funding or it's now going to be diminished because we couldn't make the decision to make a hard decision that we're going to have to make sometime. I went back and listened to the board meetings from last year, and it was said by certain members that this was the year. This was the year we're going to be able to take it because, you know, it wasn't going to be as bad. People were going to be out of jobs. They're going to want to be able to, things wouldn't cost as much. We're not in that situation. We don't know what's going to happen next year. This is a tough decision. But I don't want to go forward unless I know where that $840,000 is going to come from. So I guess that's where I stand because we did promise that money to our communities to apply for. Thank you.
Mr. Acosta.
Thank you. I think the one thing that the recent pandemic showed, not just in McHenry County, but across the county, was how woefully unprepared local health departments were to deal with community health in the 21st century. I think over the last 2 years, this department has made a commitment to reinforce and bring our health department to into the 21st century. And I think that if we take this, if we accept this amendment, we are starting to kill the health department by 1,000 cuts and take it back to where it was. And I don't want to see that happen. I was not here for the budget discussion on Thursday, but I did listen to it, I did watch it. And even some of my Republican colleagues said, not taking the CPI is a short-sighted decision. And voting on this amendment is just compounding a short-sighted decision with another short-sighted decision. You know, so I would encourage my colleagues to not support this amendment.
Mr. Smith.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not going to support this amendment either. We've worked on this budget for a considerable amount of time. I think that there's a target for every one of the dollars, and I don't want to be sitting here a month from now trying to figure out where we're going to backtrack and take that money back from. So I'll be voting no for this amendment.
Mr. Thorson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let's go back to that $7.5 million, and that's not the $30 million that's supposed to go to the public for specific requests from the public, correct? That $7.5 million, as I recall, was corralled for the health department, but we really don't have anything specific in mind. Am I still correct?
I don't think it's not specific. There's more than $7.5 million worth of ideas that when introduced to the finance committee.
We've corralled $7.5 million for the health department. I don't remember having that vote. I don't. So now all of a sudden we have this, I think, a nebulous corral of $7.5 million. That,
We're reviewing when the decision was made on $7.5 million.
I remember hearing you say it as a report.
There was
but
a clear consensus of.
I don't remember voting on it, period.
Perhaps you didn't vote, but there was a very clear consensus.
I've been to every meeting.
July 2021.
July 2021.
The point I'd like to make is some of you folks are kind of getting confused with the two $30 million buckets. This is the $30 million bucket that we're holding back here at the county. Now, when we sit on that $7.5 million that we don't really have any specific program that or project that we're gonna use that for. Somebody said death by 1,000 cuts, so I'm worried about the taxpayers' death by 1,000 cuts, okay? You know, what we're saying to the taxpayers is, we're gonna sit on the $7.5 million, we don't really have anything specific, we don't really have a good idea what we're gonna do with that money, but in the meantime, we're gonna go ahead and raise your taxes in a time when, you know what, our residents, every time they turn around, everything is more expensive, including heating and everything else, groceries, everything else. If we can avoid adding to that death by 1,000 cuts, I think we ought to make that effort. To do that, we have to consider this seriously. Thank you.
Ms. Meshes?
Thank you. I think this is a hard vote for many of us. I think nobody wants to raise taxes on our constituents. The number one issue we always hear is people need the county tax, the tax bill, the property tax bill brought down. And we often say, well, it's not the county. The county's not the big portion, which is a true statement. But they look to us to lead on lowering their tax bill. And we need to make a commitment that we're not going to just talk about the budget from August to November, that we're going to look at it every month. And every month we're going to look at where is the money going? Is it where it needs to be? So like I've driven the staff crazy, I think, asking them about what are the openings? What's the likelihood that we're going to actually fill these positions? How much money can we actually pull out of the budget because we're not going to fill these openings? You heard me say that there was like it is $5.3 million of jobs that aren't filled right now. Some of that is not from general fund. I appreciate the board member who found the exact figure, which is only about $3 million is from general fund. I do want to lower the burden as much as possible to the tax, to our constituents. And I'm wondering if, can we make a commitment that we're going to look at what money's not being used, right? So on Thursday said I'd like to see right now the vacancy allowance is $500,000. I thought that could be raised. I couldn't come up with like an exact mathematical formula, which some of you know I'm supposed to be a mathematician, so I should be able to come up with some formulas, but I don't have a formula for what would be the right number. At one point, in discussions with a board member, the answer was, we'll move it up to 900,000, and then that at least takes off some of the burden. I think we need to look every month on what can we be doing, like how are we really using the money, and how can we lead the other taxing bodies so that they can lower the tax burden as well. Is it possible to change some of this increase from ARPA instead and raise the vacancy allowance? Is that something I could do right now on the board floor? Say, take some of the money that Jim wants to propose for the ARPA fund, and instead of saying we're going to take 790 from the ARPA fund, move the vacancy allowance to like 900,000, and then that would take off 400,000 more that we could keep dedicated to the health department.
Ms. Altoff?
I just, Mr. Chairman, with your permission, may I address Committee Chair Scala directly? Sure. I keep hearing from everybody taking the CPI. Can you, for people who are listening to the meeting, and just again, for clarity, explain what the proposal is and how much of the CPI we actually are proposing with this original budget? Can you do that for me, please? Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the courtesy.
The CPI, if we were to take the full 5%, would yield slightly over $4 million in funds for availability for the county board to utilize. The budget that is currently was on 30-day review and is up for discussion tonight proposes taking 990,000 of that 4 million. So less than 25% of the total CPI that would be available to us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Parrish?
Thank you, Chairman. I also.
Uh-oh, now you're out of order.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Vijay, could you turn off your mic for a second?
Absolutely.
Here you go, Lori. Here you go, Ms. Parrish.
Thank you. I too have a direct request for Finance Chair Scala, if I may. Sure. When you spoke earlier, you mentioned amendment. Is that correct? Were you amending the original?
The only thing that I propose is the sheet that was on your desk, which were minor modifications that were handed out that I had to read into the record. Nope, not that.
Not that
this
one? Okay.
As
the annual
required.
process.
Yes.
Okay.
So that is, we do that every single year. We do minor modifications from what was on 30-day review to what is currently.
Okay, so.
And it has to do with grants and stuff like that were received.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was looking at the right piece of paper. Thank you.
Mr. Vijay?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My understanding when we did the strategic plan and we placed into the strategic plan health department and public health as being one of our goals in the strategic plan, I now see this as a potential question on our strategic plan and thus falls on then to the laps of, if I can use that term, the next board. I don't like the idea of passing something down the road. I think they call it kicking the can. But I do want to thank the idea that when we look at the ordinance that there was no touch to the Senior Services Fund, and I greatly appreciate the Finance Committee and through the administration and your office in doing so to keep that secured, and I greatly thank you. Just so that the public, I guess I'm using the public, and just so I get it clear in my head. If we do not pass the amendment proposed by Board Member Kearns, then it goes back to the idea of the CPI that would be offered. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. I asked anyone in the administration or the chair I just want to make sure that I get that clear.
That doesn't change unless this amendment passes.
Okay.
The original motion for the levy.
So, given that being the case, then, if we don't pass the current amendment proposed by Board Member Kearns, then the next vote would be to pass the tax levy budget together, and that's already been passed through the resolution. We voted on that, and then we would have to decide as individuals whether to then vote for the increase in tax levy. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back to the chair.
Dr. Jensen?
Thank you. I've been talking to my constituents, and they're taxed to death. And as I said, $3 for a dozen eggs. Probably high-quality bread is $4 a loaf. Price of coffee is drastically increased if you want your caffeine high. It's $20. The list goes on. And then on top of that, I was speaking to one of my constituents last night, and she said that even if she wanted to sell her house and move and go to someplace else where the taxes are not as expensive and the cost of groceries, and then she got her tax bill. Of course, you know, the school levy, the school taxes were included along with our tax bill. And then she reads in the paper, we're going to be talking about this evening. I cannot support the CPI based on the hardships of many people. And let's talk about seniors on a fixed income going to the grocery store and then having taxes and having all this other financial obligations. I can't justify this. This is wrong. And in the past, we have delayed some expenditures that departments were talking about, whether it's fixing windows or talking about ideas that are not concrete. It's not kicking the can down the, it is talking about our priorities here at the county, but also respecting our constituents and understand they're going through some very difficult times right now. The inflation rate. What is the inflation rate, by the way? I'm looking at you, Peter. Do you know? How about you, Kevin? Do you know what the inflation? You should know. What is it?
It's above 8% right now.
Yeah, I mean, here. And how many people have lost money in the stock market, by the way? They've lost some of their investments. Let's talk about these things. Let's talk about the hardships of people. And here we're thinking about supporting a CPI. I'm not doing it. I'll be a no vote. I don't care how we come to balance the budget. We need to figure out a way. Thank you.
Mr. Nowak.
Okay. That was good, Paula. I liked it. My question is this. In here, there's an allocation for the Public Health Department of about $7.5 million. That's what you kind of allocated for improvements there, I'm assuming. So we're only taking $790,000 of that. So there's still $6.7 million set aside for the health department for this next year, if I'm not mistaken.
Not in 1 year.
Yeah.
We've really urged the health department to find one-time projects or projects that aren't recurring. That whatever dollars are already, whether it's 6.7 or something.
So there's nothing that's really established right now. I mean, they don't have plans and everything else. I mean, obviously they have ideas, but it's still a long way down. Yeah, okay. It is loose. So I guess I'm with Paula. I don't want to see the taxpayers get any more burdened right now, with the high inflation. And, maybe in the coming years it'll get better. Hopefully it will. So I'd say take the money from that's allocated there to the health department, just use it and move on.
Ms. Bates?
I'm just trying to simplify this a little bit. I'm kind of getting a little bit befuddled, but I will tell you this. We approved a budget where the expenses far exceed the revenues. Well, this is pretty simple, people. We gotta come up with a way. Now, if this, as Jim suggested, if this isn't plausible to most of us, which means we probably should vote on that, it goes back, if we turn that down, it goes back to our taking away special services that are well needed. You don't want to mess with snowplows, I can tell you that right now. As I have mentioned to a few of you, just go look up Michael Belantic and find out how that mayor lost his election, and you'll find out how important snow is to people and a snowplow out on a road. The other thing too is to take away from senior services. Oh my gosh. What are we doing? What are we thinking? Do you want to take an officer off the road? I mean, golly, people, we can't do that. So where we are is is that we need to take the CPI, people. We need to take the CPI. We have been back and forth on this so many times, and we need to take it. One thing I will say is that our constituents will remember us for cutting services, long after the increase in taxes is forgotten. And that's a true thing. Again, ask Michael Belantic. He's probably not alive now.
Mr. Kearns?
Okay, so I keep hearing this take away services and everything else. Where are we taking away services if we do this? We are not. That is a bunch of bull. We are not taking away any services. We are discussing whether or not we are going to use ARPA funds that are extended out through, these expenses are extended out through, is it 25 on that chart, Peter, or 26? The $7.5 million? And that is an issue for me. We have on the approved side, on the county's 30 million side, we never voted on the $7.5 million. We have $4.285 million for Microsoft Enterprise Agreement. That's allocated for that. We never voted on that. And is that truly a 4.285, or is that negotiable?
It was approved already, and the 3-year agreement that we have with Microsoft
Is for how much?
That's 2.9 million, but there's 2 more years that we'll have to go out to bid for that once the 3-year agreement goes, since this is going through 2026.
Okay. So then, when you go through all these, do we need gold-plated things in a rework of a building? Or can we do something a little bit less? We're not taking away services. The money from this is whether or not you want to spend 7.5 million. Now, we haven't even decided whether it's going to come out of that 7.5 million out of the county side. We have 14.4 million. I realize there's a request, but there's $14.4 million of the $30 million that we said we are going to give to the public. One, we gave $1 million to up in McHenry for apartment buildings that aren't even built yet or may not pass, who knows? But we've got all these different things. There's $14 million not even allocated. So if we have to take in the future from that $14 million, then so be it. Because we're giving this money to certain organizations like a group of people who are building apartments, and they're certainly not losing money by building these apartments. They're making money off of the money we're giving them. This isn't money to subsidize them without them making money, those people who built those apartments. They're going to make money on that, or they wouldn't be doing it. I'm saying don't press the taxes on every individual property owner in this county, whether it's $14, whether it's $14,000. It is a death by 1,000 cuts on your tax bill, because you also have a car payment. You also have a mortgage interest payment that continues to go up on higher interest rates. So gasoline, diesel fuel, everything. The economy is softening. They're projecting it to go into recession here in 23. We have all those positions that we haven't hired, and they've been empty for months, and it rolls over. And so if we go 6 months into not hiring those positions, that makes up that money that we're not using right here tonight on a CPI. That makes up that money in the revenue. And I realize down the road, because of inflation and everything going on and the unfunded mandates from the college, I can think of 1,000 reasons why I need to do this that raise the CPI. I can think of 1,000, but I can think of 300,000 reasons in this county why we shouldn't take a tax increase. The schools don't see it. The fire departments don't see it. The libraries don't see it. They're asking for outrageous amounts of, even when the economy was bad, they took tax increases. And our taxes, whose tax bill right now today, if you've been in your house for the last 20 years, is not double or triple of what it was? When the economy tanked in 2008, the tax bill still went up. Somewhere you got to take a stand and stop this nonsense. And I understand you don't want to you don't want to cut things. And if you don't want to cut things, okay, raise your CPI and keep hiring, keep giving raises, keep doing what you've got to do. I've said since 2016, when we originally cut the big 12% and cut 10, whatever it was, I said right then, this isn't sustainable if you don't make cuts along the way or stop spending money along the way. So you're saying, let's not cut anything from the health department of that 7.5 million that they didn't have to begin with. Okay, they didn't have it to begin with. They're asking for $9.5 million, whatever it is. But we don't have it to give. We don't have it to give. And we shouldn't take it out of our taxpayers' money to do it. And I'm sorry, I don't want to insult anybody. I think our health department does a great job with what they have. But at some point you have to, we're not cutting the health department. We're not cutting it. Don't fool yourselves. We are not cutting it. $790,000 is on a building project for windows and HV and improvements in there. That's what it's for. maybe we have to delay that. Maybe we have to delay some of those things. That doesn't cut services to anyone. Thank you. And at some point, let's vote, and I'll say that after everybody speaks, I'll say that I respect every one of your opinions. I really do. But I really respect that we're having this discussion and not just blindly accepting of this. So thank you, and I appreciate all of your both sides. Kay, I appreciate, I've loved working with you on the board here. And I can respect what you're saying on some things. But Paula, I definitely respect what you're saying, because that's what our constituents are saying. So Paula, I love Paula Jensen on this board, by the way, and I'm going to miss her terribly. I'm going to miss her on the Valley High Committee of being the chair of that. I think she does a wonderful job, but I totally respect her for saying her piece tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Schwartz?
I think, Mr. Kern's proposal is a creative way of balancing the budget without increasing property taxes. The $7.5 million for the health department was like a wish list of things that they would like to do. And we're talking about, taking $790,000 out of there for, that was allocated for some building improvements. So there's not really any services being taken away from any public, like Kay suggested. It's just a few wish list items that may get delayed. There's many positions throughout the county that have not been filled, employees that, employee positions, and we've budgeted for those positions to be filled, and they may not get filled over the next year or so. So the thought that we're gonna be short on the budget is false, because you're having difficulty hiring people, and these positions have been open for a couple of years, and there's going to be some cost savings that budget will not be used to fill those positions because they can't find the people. So I think this amended proposal that Mr. Kearns has is a very creative way to balance the budget without raising property taxes, and everyone here should consider voting for this amendment.
Ms. Wegner?
Thank you. So I'm going to respond calmly.
I was calm. I'm just passionate.
You're very passionate. There was no swearing. Okay, so I want to point some things out. We have not taken CPI since 2012. And since then, departments have cut. You talked about cut 10%. They have cut, and they're very lean. At some point, you can only cut so much. And you have to talk about the inflation that's happening and how much money we have now and how spendable it was then versus now. But what I don't like being narrated here is kind of like the minimizing of what the health department is going to do or could do with the money. It's not just a little wish list. It is over 8.4 million of good, solid ideas that can help our community. So we may not be taking away current resources, current services, but we would be cutting 10%, over 10% of that 7.5 million that we have allocated to them, that which we did all agree on when we talked about ARPA, and could cut future funds. For example, one of the line items, and maybe many of you haven't seen this spreadsheet, but one of the line items is there is a mobile clinic. That's $500,000. We all know people who can't drive, who can't get to the doctor's office. I toured a Family Health Partnership clinic last month, and it's amazing how people can't get there, and they have to pay for a taxi or wait for somebody to drive them. So a mobile health clinic is going to help those less fortunate. We're going to have a recession. We're going to have more people that are less fortunate. People in our county are our greatest resource, just like the people who work in the county. They're our greatest resource, and we need to take care of them. So we don't need to take grants away from organizations who are applying for ARPA money. We have over 14 million in asks because we have huge sewer projects and we have all kinds of organizations that are asking for money. We have given that to very economically well-developed in the county. I'm saying it poorly, but we have helped many organizations, and we can continue to do that with the money that we have designated out there for it. So I know this makes great political talking points to say, don't take the CPI. I haven't taken the CPI. Believe me, every single one of us who says we're going to vote for the CPI, it is a political risk. But that's okay, because we know that we need to fund these programs and these projects. And I can say, yes, I'm going to vote for it, and I will tell people exactly why I'm going to vote for it. We don't want to cut services. We want to expand services. We want to have the best services that we can to help the people who need it. We have homeless people who don't have a place to stay when it's super cold. I could go on, and I'm not going to, because I'm not going to get all wrapped up in it. But anyway, $10 to $14 a year, it's not that much. It's a couple cups of coffee. Please just think about the people and how they're our greatest resource, and we are here to take care of them. Thank you.
Mr. Scala, is your light still on from before? You have something to say, or?
I do, but I'm being very patient, so whenever you call on me is fine.
Mr. Scala.
So first, I want to acknowledge the passion that is in the room. And we have several of our future county board members sitting in the audience getting to listen to this passion. And I'm sure you're just eagerly, can't wait to have your arse sitting here having these discussions also. The reality is that I just have a hard time, first, Mr. Kearns, were you at the meeting last night where this was presented?
Last night?
Yeah. The Board of Health meeting.
No, I wasn't at that meeting.
Okay, so I'm a little puzzled as to how you acquired this information about what was presented last night. It's okay, you don't need to answer. I'm just simply stating I'm a little puzzled by that because it was made public last night at the meeting, and so naturally I think most of the members in this room don't have a spreadsheet, don't have the information about what was presented last night. So I think it's a little unfair to all of the county board members to be talking about something that they don't have any clue what it is. I saw the list at a meeting with Chairman Bueller and Melissa and Pete earlier in the week, but it wasn't public. It was a private discussion that went on with that, and it wasn't to be made public until last night. But that being said, your proposal is asking for board members to cut $790,000 out of the health department side of this budget without even the board members knowing what was proposed to begin with. And I have a hard time with that concept, number one. And number two, anytime there's cuts to the health department who are trying to help the people of our county is to me not something that we should be doing, and not to do that to balance the budget. So in short, I would just ask the board members to vote no on this amendment and vote yes on the original motion for the budget. Thank you.
Vijay. You can't speak until the red light goes on.
I've been trying all
This
night.
person. Mr. Vijay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize. I forgot in my comments that I wanted to thank Mr. Terrio for willing to put forth $200,000 into this budget. It does affect his department, and knowing that he was willing to do that should have been noted, and I apologize for not noting that in my comments. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Nowak.
I would like to call a question.
Okay.
We've talked about it enough, I think.
Okay. We need a second? Mr. Gottemoller, any discussion on that? No? Let's open the voting on the amendment. The Kearns amendment. Oh, the amendment made to call the question? Okay.
Motion to call the question.
Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay, motion carries. Clerk, could you open the voting, please?
This is on the amendment.
Motion, Nowak made the motion, Mr. Gottemoller seconded. Took a voice vote. Passes in the opinion of the chair. We will be voting on the amendment proposed by Mr. Kearns.
Are we ready?
Thank you.
Are we ready?
Yes.
Here we go.
Voting is open. Have all voted who wish?
Is this on the ordinance or the amendment?
This is on the amendment to the ordinance.
And it's still not on my screen.
Not on my screen either.
Give it a second.
It's coming.
I don't know. Okay, Tim, I'm looking at it.
Have all voted who wish?
Here comes.
Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish?
Still spinning.
So Ginger.
Has Mr. Schwartz voted?
Mr. Schwartz?
Mr. Schwartz, have you voted?
I did.
Did you hit submit?
It says vote in progress on my screen.
Did you hit submit?
E-scribe meetings professional request failed internal server error.
How would you like to vote?
Yes, on the Kearns amendment.
Here comes the result.
Motion does not carry. Back to the original motion, unamended. Any discussion? Mr. Smith,
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to call the question. I'll make a motion to call the question.
Ms. Altoff seconds. All in favor say aye. Aye. Against? Motion carries. Clerk, could you open the voting, please?
This is the underlying combined, moved by Mr. Scala, seconded by Gottemoller.
Exactly right.
Voting is open. Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Motion carries. Pete, you got a report for us tonight?
I'll keep it short, thank you. Just on behalf of, so many kind words this evening, a couple hours ago about staff. So on behalf of myself and all the staff here and all the staff in all the buildings, we are very, very appreciative of your good work. And those of you brave enough to run for elected office should be commended. So thank you on behalf of all the staff.
Okay, entertain a motion to adjourn. Ms. Jensen, seconded by Mr. Nowak. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Against? Have a good night.
Sign tonight, or you want to come by?
I'll come back.
The last vote?
Is it possible to see the last vote?